Pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose. How you doing this morning, Jared?
Dude, you're getting ready for Florida. I feel like I'm there already. You got the heat cranking in here. It's kind of nice, man.
Got to, man. Got 2 feet of snow outside. Can't even move.
It's like a hot yoga. We're going to do a hot podcast today. We'll be stripping down a little bit. Going a different direction. But no, I feel great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. We got a lot of change coming up. My freaking cauliflower ear is healing.
Yeah, you were pretty pissed off on that in social media. I was watching with some damn magnets.
Oh, dude, it's like someone's just pinching the shit out of you for 36 hours.
That's why you just drain it and accept it, my friend. It's your fate.
I mean,
you earned them. You can't get cauliflower ear by accident.
I got cauliflower ear, but actually, at least it won't be as bad.
Actually, I do have a funny story on cauliflower ear, and this is just kind of the mentality of my family. Taya was probably like 4 or 5. And we're at a barbecue, and she was eating some strawberries. And she comes running in, and she's like, Dad, you won't believe what happened. I'm like, what? She goes, I got cauliflower ear. And she pulls her hair back, and her ear's like blown out. Well, she didn't have cauliflower. She was having a reaction to some of the strawberries weren't cleaned very well. So she was having a reaction to the strawberries. But I was laughing. I was like, we're one of the few houses in America where a reaction that caused your ear to blow up, we'd be like, oh, yes, we got cauliflower ear.
Oh, she was excited about it?
Dude. She was excited. And
That's funny.
Turns out it wasn't cauliflower ear, and she's a beautiful young lady with regular ears, so that's good to know. But, yeah, you earned it, man. You can't get cauliflower ear by accident.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But, yeah, it was despite that, it was a really good weekend. I actually went to a spiritual retreat. Shout out Audaz, A-U-D-A-Z, and learned some really cool skills. We had a self-hypnosis exercise. Yeah, man. I was actually like, I kind of hypnotized myself. Like I, you know, when you're like falling asleep and your head's falling, like what? Like that happened to me like 3 times, and it was super powerful. Of going back to like a very like gentle, loving play. Yeah, it was cool. We'll have to do like a whole episode on that because it was
self-hypnosis.
Self-hypnosis, yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, we had a good weekend as well. It snowed a ton, so we just kind of stayed inside and shoveled a little bit. And here we are. I'm back. I feel like I'm in the beach. Is that a heater that's here?
Yeah,
clanging?
The haunted heater in here.
Yeah, nice. Well, you've had it working overtime.
Yeah, maybe it's a little mad at me right now.
Good. I was just trying to time the beat. All right, well, this will be a good episode, man. You had a social media post on this the other day that I saw was catching some traction. I thought it'd be good for us to talk about what we call the sorry pandemic.
Episode 103, the sorry pandemic. Yeah, I think that we all know someone or maybe are that person ourselves that are always apologizing, always saying, I'm sorry, even when it's things that you don't need to be apologizing for. I think it's become almost like a filler word for a lot of people in conversation. And it actually can have really negative effects if you're constantly using it, not only on yourself, but to the people that you're saying I'm sorry to when there's nothing to apologize for as well. So
What was it that got you going on that? Was there a specific incident or?
I think it was. This was maybe in the last year or 2. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But I feel that it was something specific that really got me going on it. Maybe something I read.
Okay. So why do you think people say sorry so much? It's one of the most overused words we have anymore. And why do you think that is?
I think that we've become conditioned and that there's this false perception that saying I'm sorry is being polite and being kind. And I think that it just becomes habitual of lots of interactions. You know, if you any sort of social rejection, like even if someone's trying to sell you something, sorry, I'm not interested, right? You don't have to apologize for you not being interested in something that someone's selling you, or sorry. I'm having trouble thinking of examples, but there's a lot. There's a lot.
Well, here's one that I see all the time is when you're learning something new and you don't get it right. What's one of the first things people say?
Yeah.
Sorry. I see it in the gym all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I messed that up. And I always say, quit freaking apologizing.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because if you're learning, you're going to mess things up. And if we have to apologize for making mistakes while we're learning, then we're not in a place where we're free to learn.
That's a huge one.
Right? And that's absolutely one of the big ones is we have conditioned ourselves to believe that mistakes are always bad. And what I'm telling you is somebody that coaches people all the time, I want you to make mistakes. Because that means you're learning. I talk to you about it on the team all the time, right? That, hey, we're going to do some flow stuff. Try some different things. Don't worry about winning. Right? Because if we make a mistake, we might lose. Well, we also need to make mistakes to grow. In the learning process, and that's one of the things that we've really done a disservice to people is when they're learning, not embracing mistakes. When I talk to businesses or school districts, one of the things I ask them is, when the last time you celebrated an employee's mistake? Well, we don't. Why don't we? When Ali has this great idea that could potentially bring us 10x our revenue, and he pitches it to us and we embrace it, we try it and it fails, why don't we celebrate that failure? And then take the lessons we learned from the failure and go again. Because we know nothing gets solved the first time, right? Like it's repetition. We try something, it doesn't quite work out, we make some changes, we go, well, that was a failure. But we don't say, I'm sorry for trying.
Right.
But we've conditioned ourselves that we say sorry for everything.
Yeah.
Mistakes, not knowing something. When we're not sorry, we shouldn't be sorry.
Yeah. So I came up with a couple more. I'm sorry even when you're trying to get someone's attention, right? Even when you're calling the server, which that's their job is to serve you, right? And you're like, sorry, let me ask you this. Or even when you're trying to move past someone, we use I'm sorry interchangeably with excuse me.
Yeah. What's the difference?
Well, so let's talk about the definition of sorry, right? The definition of sorry is feeling distress, especially through sympathy with someone else's misfortune. That's strong.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't need to feel distress or think that someone else has misfortune if you're asking them to move out of the way
1,000 times a day.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're asking someone to repeat themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Or I'm sorry. You don't need to feel distress. It's not someone's misfortune if you didn't hear them the first time. Right. I think excuse me is a great replacement. Excuse me, can you say that again?
Yeah.
Right. Instead of I'm sorry, can you say that again? Because words have so much weight and meaning, and every time you use them, there's a certain energy. A sorry is a distress type of energy.
Right.
So we're not only bringing each other down, but ourselves. So there was a journal I was looking at before this episode called The Frontiers of Psychology. They published an article saying that when you say I'm sorry when rejecting any type of proposal from someone, whether it's like canceling plans or something as intense as breaking up with someone, or really anything that a friend or family member proposes to you, you can actually cause them to feel worse and have them feel like they have to forgive you now. When really you can simply say, hey, I don't want to do that, or I'm not interested, You don't have to preface it with sorry, yet I think that our society has conditioned it and confused it with being kind.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And it's funny because I wrote down some notes what is the physical reaction of constantly apologizing? Right? If I'm constantly saying, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for not knowing, I'm sorry for not learning, I'm sorry for having to get ahead of you in line, I'm sorry for not hearing you again, it's depressing.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're literally always apologizing for everything. It increases your stress. Right? Think about when we know when we know we've done somebody wrong, when we know that, okay, this is something I need to go make amends for. What is the stress that comes to you preparing for that? Or like, oh, shit, I'm going to see Ali today at 7, man. I know what I did a couple weeks ago. I didn't follow through on what I said I was going to do, and it caused him pain, so I got to apologize. You usually have angst, right? You're just like, oh, man. Dude, I'm sorry. I dropped the ball last week. I told you, right? That's a good use, right? I caused you pain.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I have stress preparing for that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, constantly apologize is depressing, right? You don't lift yourself up. You're taking yourself, we go back to our vibrations, constantly apologizing, I guarantee is one of the lower vibrations. It's not raising people up.
Mm-hmm. It's
internally stressing. And then it ultimately leads to a lack of confidence in myself, right? Like I don't see the two working well. People that apologize all the time are always sorry, generally have a lack of self-confidence.
100%.
And why is that? Because they're constantly beating themselves up for everything they don't get right. And the reality is we shouldn't get everything right. If we're getting everything right, it means we're doing the exact same thing all the time.
Yeah.
So what can we replace with sorry? Excuse me is a good one.
Gratitude is the big one. Gratitude is a foundational replacement for saying I'm sorry. And you can use gratitude even when you've committed minor faults, right? I highly recommend to not apologize unless it's a pretty substantial fault, right? But let's say even you're running 2 minutes late, 3 minutes late to a meeting, right? Is that worth the feeling of distress? Is that someone else's misfortune? I wouldn't go that far.
Right.
But you're running a little late. Instead of being, I'm so sorry I'm late, you can say, thank you so much for your patience.
Yeah, thanks for waiting for me.
Thank you for waiting on me.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. I got caught a little late.
Yep. The salesman, right? If you have someone that's trying to sell you something and you need to turn them down, hey, thanks for thinking of me. I'm not interested. Not I'm sorry I'm not interested. Yeah. Thanks for thinking of me.
What about this? I preparing for this, I thought of this option as well. Do you think people say I'm sorry to avoid consequences?
Maybe.
Right? Because sorry is an emotion, right? Because we're right in the definition there, through sympathy. Right? So I think like, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't do this, blah, blah. I had this going on, right? I think a lot of times people are trying to get sympathy from you. Right. Well, they didn't do this, but, they had a lot going on. They apologized, so we'll move past it.
Yeah.
Right? I think it was almost like a precluder to, hey, don't hold me accountable.
Right. Now I'm off the hook. I said I'm sorry.
Right. Well, how many times people say something rude to you, and then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Well, you're not off the hook. You still said it.
Yeah.
So you're still thinking it. So let's figure out, right? So I think that could be part of it too, is we say I'm sorry because we think it's going to relieve us of consequence. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's kind of how that word takes on so much meaning, right? And so much miscontext is we're avoiding some truths.
Yeah. I think another one here in my notes is that a lot of us apologize for simply being ourselves
all the time,
right? Maybe you'll laugh you'll laugh really loud, or something. And you'll be, oh, sorry,
yeah,
like you were laughing too loud, or you'll be really direct or loud. Like for example, a post that I had recently around the masks. So many people took my analysis of myself afterwards as an apology. And that's kind of what stemmed this don't be sorry kind of thing. And I had to kind of go back and because someone was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I love what you posted. You don't have to feel sorry. And I was like, whoa, like, I'm not apologizing for anything. I'm not feeling sorry. So I went back and like re-edited some things because I am totally an advocate of being unapologetic for yourself. Now, let's not get it twisted. That doesn't mean to be an asshole, to be rude. When an apology is warranted, Dale Carnegie, it's a principle. When you apologize, do it quickly and emphatically. Like when it's time to apologize, make it a sincere apology.
Yep.
But what we do when we're constantly saying, I'm sorry, is that we're lessening the value of a sincere apology. So when it's time to say I'm sorry, people are going to know you mean it, right? But if it's a word that you're using every single day, multiple times a day, then your sorry doesn't mean shit. If I'm always hearing you saying I'm sorry, then when you actually do something that you need to apologize for, and you say I'm sorry to me, I'm going to be like, you fucking say I'm sorry all the time. Like it doesn't mean anything anymore. And that's the law of supply and demand.
Absolutely.
Right? If you're constantly supplying I'm sorries, then your apologies don't mean anything.
They have no value. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think people got to understand that. So like, as a community, stop for a minute and think of how many times do you say you're sorry and apologize for things that you're really not sorry for. You're just doing it to make the situation better in the short term.
Yeah.
But you don't change your behavior. Right? Like that's one thing for me is I have no time if people are going to constantly apologize. Or even if they apologize a few times, but the behavior doesn't change because then you're not really sorry, right? So I think that's kind of another crutch we have is one, we avoid accountability at times, and two, we can apologize. We feel like we can throw sorries out without ever changing our behavior.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, our goal should be to not have to apologize a lot, right? Like if I have to apologize for wronging people every single day, then I need to change my life.
For sure.
But if we just throw them out all the time, how do you know what changes need to be made? How do you know where your mistake was? Right, which I think is a big piece of that lack of accountability. Right, like even when people are going to hurt your feelings, right, what do they usually say? Hey, sorry, don't take this wrong, but.
Right.
Well, of course I'm going to take it fucking wrong.
Right.
Right, like why would you apologize for telling me, like why? What is this? Now, if it's the truth, hey, let's, I mean, there's so many different ways we could say before apologizing, telling somebody the truth. And it's almost like it's just a preface that we throw into the front of a lot of sentences.
Yeah. Yeah, so I challenge our community because I still, even though I have been preaching this message for a while, I still find the occasional slip up or that want and catch myself of like, wait, I don't need to say I'm sorry for this. I don't need to apologize. So I challenge our community to when you feel that urge, when it's coming on your lips, you're right there, stop and ask yourself, have I done something wrong?
Yeah.
What wrong have I committed? Now again, we can stretch this a little bit because obviously you don't want to be late to something, right? That's a minor wrong, but I challenge you also to try and replace sorries with gratitude for the minor wrongs as well. Being a minute late, or maybe you canceled plans that you already committed to. You can say, hey, thank you for inviting me. I have to decline because this happened.
Yep.
More explanation instead I'm sorry, because sorry is just kind of taking the lazy way out of something, and like you were saying, almost just taking you off the hook for not being accountable.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I mean, coaching people, you see it all the time. And one of the things I would say is there's so many different words besides I'm sorry that create a different, just like you're saying with gratitude, right? Like, hey, I appreciate the opportunity. Send me some more information. I'll look at it and see if it fits in my calendar in the future. Instead of saying, sorry, I don't have time. right? I mean, that actually feels better, right? It lets you think like, okay, there's a chance. Let me send them some information. It allows me to do research and decide if this is something I want to do or not.
Yep.
Versus simply saying, sorry, I'm not interested. Well, I don't really know if I'm not interested. I just don't want to spend this time. Maybe I got another appointment. You know, I mean, there's just so many ways we can work around this to better ourselves. And I think that's where I go with this is when I'm constantly apologizing, I'm not being my best me. I'm not living at my highest vibration. I'm not lifting others up. So what can I do differently? Let's change some verbiage. I'm not saying that you have to break down all your barriers and do everything everybody asks you. And that's not healthy either. But I'm definitely not going to apologize if I have my day scheduled and you show up out of the blue and like, hey, I need to do this right now. And I don't have time. I'm not going to say, hey, sorry, dude, my day's full. Well, I'm not sorry my day's full. I work hard to make my day full.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. Today's not a good time. Send me the information. Let me review it, and I'll get back to you in a week. And one of the big things for me, just a little hack on this is my email.
Yeah.
Right before I used to feel like I would start off some emails, be like, hey, sorry it took so long. It took like 4 hours, 5 hours, a day. Sorry it took so long to get back to you. I love that. What? No, wait a second. I'm not sorry for this.
Right.
So now I have that automatic reply that says, hey, I'm balancing my life. And emails may take up to a week to get back to you. I appreciate your patience.
And people probably respect you.
They
more
love
for
it.
that.
I get replies on my reply. Hey, dude, I love your automatic reply. I'll talk to you in a week.
Yep.
And I still usually get back to them before then. So I over-deliver. But I'm not sorry that I'm prioritizing my time.
Yep.
Right? You know, like, hey, sorry I can't do this today. I got to go get a workout. Well, I'm not sorry I'm going to take care of my body. You need me to take care of my body.
Yeah.
So quit apologizing for prioritizing you. And I think another thing that I find interesting is I think sometimes people apologize to control your reaction. Right? If I know you did something, or I did something wrong to you, and I immediately come and go, sorry, dude, sorry. I'm so sorry I did that. Even if I've done it multiple times, you may now not be aggressive. You may now not tell me the truth of I'm fired. Right? I'm sorry I'm late again today. I'm sorry, I'm late. My tire, blah, 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 blah. Right? I'm trying to hit empathy from you.
Yeah.
All right, dude, well, it's the 15th time. Don't let it happen again tomorrow. You're going to be fired the next time. Right? So I use sorry to kind of manipulate what response I'm going to get back from people.
Yeah. Sorry can definitely be manipulative.
I think that's why we see it like it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where's a place you see the fewest sorries?
In the places where people have the most confidence.
Some. I would say that, right? And around people of confidence. But I was specifically thinking more social media. Right? Like just like your post the other day that you said like you had to take down because people were literally attacking each other.
Right.
You see very few sorries on social media. As a matter of fact, tell me the last time you saw somebody start a comment with, hey, sorry, I didn't quite understand what you were saying. I now appreciate your point of view, and I'll look to see if it influences mine.
Right. It doesn't happen.
Why? Because you're fucking anonymous.
Yeah.
Right?
Keyboard
Face
warrior.
to face. Hey, dude, I'm sorry I dropped the ball on you. Right now, we over-apologize face to face because we're afraid of this interaction.
Mm-hmm.
On social media, there's never a sorry. Well, why is that? Because you're confident, you're anonymous, you're behind your keyboard, you're physically safe. Nobody can punch you in the nose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I find that to be an interesting dichotomy. In society, we over-apologize in interpersonal reactions constantly. And then through social media, which you have a lot more interactions now just based on the sheer algorithm of depending on how many people follow you, blah, 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 we never apologize. Right? And so let's find the middle ground. Let's not be an asshole on social media, and let's not be somebody that gets walked over and apologizes for everything in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Even with customers in my business, we know anyone who's ever worked customer service for me, they'll be able to tell you, or probably any customer service worker in general, you get the keyboard warriors, right? They'll fire up the rudest message, call you every name in the book over email, but even not even in person. Once you pick up the phone, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Different tone. And they'll apologize on the phone for being an asshole over email.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, you're right. When when you have a screen and you're just behind a keyboard, you got all the confidence in the world.
And I think part of it is you're anonymous, and 2, we're lacking human interaction.
Yeah.
Like, most of us, besides like sociopaths usually stand out to the rest of society because they lack empathy. The rest of us have an abundance of empathy.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we don't put up good barriers on when we should use it and when we shouldn't, so we over-apologize.
Yeah.
So that's one of our challenges for our community is take inventory of how many times you're apologizing for things in your daily interactions that you really don't need to be sorry for. And then look to see how we can improve. What words can we put in place? Right? One of the things you talked about, gratitude. I'm big on saying I'm grateful. Hey, I'm grateful for the opportunity to meet you. It's just not going to work out this time. And I love telling people, send me the information. Right? Because then it's a follow-up. Like, if you really want me as a customer, if you really want this, you'll take the time to follow up with me. Then I can review it without pressure and let you know in the future if it's going to work.
Yeah.
But I'm always grateful. Like, one of my daily mantras, man, is I seek joy and happiness in the people I meet and the obstacles I encounter every day. It doesn't mean I'm going to take everything on. I'm not going to feel bad that I can't help everybody or do everything everybody wants. But I'm going to look for joy and happiness in our meetings. And I'm going to tell you no at this time, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not sorry for that.
No, and you don't have to be. And I think on top of that, guys, not only taking inventory of your own sorries, but holding your community accountable. If you hear someone over apologizing, one of my most used phrases is, hey, there's no need to apologize. I tell people that all the time. And it kind of takes them back a little bit. But I'm doing that person a favor by having them become aware of their pointless apologies.
Yep.
And I do that in business, in personal relationships, with friends.
Go ahead, sorry.
It's important. It's just as important, especially if it's people that you love and care about, to make them aware too. Because this is a sorry pandemic, guys. This can be just as bad as your health as other pandemics going on around. So that's a whole nother topic. But
we're not scientists, but we believe strongly.
we believe strongly that sorries are bad for your health.
Pandemics, man. So let's go to the other place.
Okay.
We've talked about apologizing all the time, but what if you're the person that everybody apologizes to? What should you be aware of?
Interesting.
So you're that person that all day you hear, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. One thing that comes to mind is you're not very understanding.
Yeah.
If people constantly have to apologize to you, either you have the wrong people around you or you're not super understanding to facilitate growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're running.
Almost like a dictator is kind of what comes to mind.
Yeah, you're running a dictatorship.
You got people that are afraid of you.
Yeah. Which is effective in the short term.
Always short term.
But detrimental in the long term. There's so many lessons in history about that.
Yep. So I think, so when you're looking at things, are you always apologizing or are you always being apologized to? And who are these people that are apologizing to you? If you have employees, if you're a leader and you have people that report to you and they're constantly apologizing for any mistake they made or anything that's not done perfectly, I challenge you to look at your leadership style. Are you creating fear or are you embracing fear? Are you encouraging creativity, which it comes with mistakes and learning? Or are you putting everybody in a box that is risk adverse? I just had this talk yesterday with people. A lot of our leaders nowadays, they're not leaders. I'd call them managers. They're not leading people to be their best. They're managing people to avoid risk adverse. So look at yourself, because it goes both ways. Right? Like, as a coach, I could create people that apologize to me constantly by degrading them in class, by pointing them out for their mistakes, by not encouraging creativity, by saying, well, one of my favorite things is I teach like a combination, for example. Then at the end of every practice, I always say, okay, now try it, but add your own flair because it's martial arts, not martial science. When's the last time other leaders have said, hey, here's kind of how I've done it, but now you take it and add your own flair because you can make it better.
Yeah.
Right? It's leadership. And when I look and I hear people constantly apologizing, I have to check, did I help create, am I fostering an environment to where they don't feel safe to take risks? They don't feel safe to make mistakes. They don't feel safe to be creative. Because it could be me.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. One thing that's been very effective for my leadership is when someone comes and asks me a question, says, what do you think?
Always.
How would you handle that? And that can be very empowering and effective for your team, for your employees, for your trainees, mentees.
Everybody, right? That's the old analogy, right? If I give you a fish, you eat for a day. If I teach you to fish, you eat forever.
Right.
Right? If you come to me with problems and I give you all the solutions, well, you're getting fish, but you're not learning. Versus you come to me with a problem and I ask, what do you think? What is your solution? And quite honestly, if you don't have a solution, I'm not going to give you one. I'm going to send you back out, have you research it, do some work, come back and tell me what the solution is.
Yep.
Or get with your peers. But the sorry pandemic goes both ways.
Yeah.
People are overly using it, and then others create environments where there's a lot of fear.
So let's talk about, when is it appropriate to apologize? When should you say I'm sorry?
If I know I've done something wrong to you, period. If I let you down, if I said I was going to do something and I didn't do it, I'll apologize for that.
Okay.
If I mistreated you, I'll apologize for that. If I wasn't paying attention, I smashed into your car, I'll apologize for that.
How about this? What if I tell you, Jared, you offended me? Should you apologize
No.
for that?
Well, I'll say, tell me how.
Yeah.
How did I offend you? Well, you said these two things, and I'll be like, well, were they true? Yeah, they're true, but it hurt my feelings. I go, well, then we can talk about your feelings. But if I told you the truth, I'm not sorry about it.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to apologize for being true.
I love it.
And why would I? If I'm trying to make you better and the truth hurts you a little bit, the reason the truth probably hurts is what? It's fucking true. Right? Like, it's literally true. So why would I apologize for the truth?
Yeah. How about this? Because I see a lot of this on social media. How about an opinion that maybe you can't?
I love it. I love opinions.
100% define as true, right? But your opinion offends me.
Well, see, first off, opinion should never offend you. You have an opinion. I have an opinion. Why should your feelings, your experience, hurt my experience? So instead of saying, hey, sorry, your opinion offends me, I'm going to say this. Dude, your opinion is completely opposite of mine, but tell me more. Or, hey, I saw your post about this. Tell me more about why you feel that way. Like, why would I assume sorrow for your opinion not matching my opinion? I'm not Ali. I didn't grow up the way you grew up. I don't, right? We're different. And I think that's part of this stay in your box, think like the masses, is we want everybody's opinions to be our opinions. Social media is a perfect example. The damn mask thing. Like, nobody thinks they can have, like, either you hate the mask or you love the mask. But what if I don't like either? What if I think some people should wear a mask and a lot of people shouldn't? Well, we can't be part of that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so you love the mask. Tell me more. Like, tell me why you really like this. Instead of being, oh, well, sorry, your opinion offends me. And that's what you see is literally the sorry pandemic is also part of people go out of their way to find things that offend them.
Right. The I'm offended pandemic.
Yeah.
And I just want to say something, guys. There's nobody that is offending you. Being offended is a choice. You control whether or not someone's offended. Someone can walk up in here and say, your mama this, your daddy that, you this, you that. I control all the time whether I choose to be offended or not. It is your choice. No other external circumstance, external person dictates how you feel. You are the controller of how you feel.
Yep. Go back to the episode with Craig DiMartino, our Paralympic champion rock climber. And he has a fantastic quote that's part of all of his presentations is life is 1% circumstance and 99% reaction.
Yep.
You come in and you're having a bad day, you're for whatever reason. And our first interaction, you take out your bad day towards me. Well, I still have the rest of the day to make something good out of it. I'm not going to just take all your emotion. Now that becomes how I have to react. Right? I can take it, compartmentalize it, move forward. But I'm not going to apologize all damn day. And I'm not going to put myself in circles where everybody thinks they need to apologize all day. Because that does not push us forward. That does not move us towards that higher level that we're seeking.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're hearing sorries all around you, you got to get out of there.
Or you got to really take a hard look in your mirror and ask yourself, did you create this environment? Are you hard on people that make mistakes? Do you tolerate mistakes? Do you encourage creativity? Or does everybody walk on eggshells around you because you're irrational, you're emotional, you right? Like it goes both ways. Because we're not programmed to be overly sorry. We learn that.
Yeah.
Little kids don't apologize for a lot, right? Because they're learning. They're always experimenting. They're breaking shit. They're doing stuff. Mm-hmm. As adults, for some reason, we get conditioned to constantly apologize.
Right. If a little kid's apologizing, he's going to mean it. He's going to be, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's
because he doesn't know to use it every sentence.
Exactly.
Unless, of course, we teach him.
We can learn a lot from kids, man.
We just pay attention.
Right. All right.
So community, get out and take inventory of your sorries and how many times you say it when you really shouldn't be apologizing for things. And then also look around how many people are apologizing to you and be honest. Are you creating an environment where people feel the need to constantly apologize? And then if you want to join us on Patreon, we'd love to have your support over there as we continue to grow our community and create more purposeful warriors around the world.
Yeah, I got to say the last monthly Patreon meeting was a huge benefit to me. We conducted a personal life mission statement exercise, and now that's right there at my meditation altar.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was really powerful. We got some great feedback from our small think tank group from the higher level Patreon members as well. And we're bringing a lot of purposeful benefit every month for our higher tier Patreon members. So definitely check that out if you're looking to take your life to the next level when it comes to living life with purpose.
Amen. And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.